صلوات محمد وآل محمد صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء ما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما فالحمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها تقواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدح عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها والليل يخاف عقباها. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في قرآنه الكريم وهو أصدق القائلين قوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وابتغوا إليه وسيلا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات محمد وآله. Today we'll continue as we started yesterday, looking at the famous sermon of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the famous khutbah that Imam Ali alayhi salam delivered, known as Khutbatul Gharra, the brilliant sermon, the sermon which moved those who listened to it to tears, the sermon which brought about in people a fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a consciousness of His existence, and a realization of the realities of the world we live. Khutbatul Gharra, where we reached yesterday, and really we didn't get very far. We looked at about one line, but I want to focus a little bit more today on the next portion of the khutbah. It's divided into two different portions based on what Amir al-Mu'mineen was reciting about or speaking about. Yesterday we spoke about his praises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we finished off on how Amir al-Mu'mineen invites people towards taqwa. Taqwa meaning God consciousness, taqwa meaning piety, taqwa meaning this fear of damaging the relationship I have with my Lord. Taqwa, God consciousness, is the definition that drives me towards it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, He tells us again and again to have taqwa. He tells us again and again, we finished off with yesterday, He says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has timed for you your lives. In here we find an answer to one of the questions that often comes up surrounding Laylatul Qadr or Layali Qadr, the nights of power. And that is that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already decided for me what rizq I'm going to get, how much sustenance I will get, how many bounties I will get, how long my life will be, then what do du'as of Laylatul Qadr do? Do they change Allah's mind? Do they change what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided or not? You see, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed and decided for us is the maximum of the bounties that we will receive. The maximum lifespan that each and every one of us may live. What Laylatul Qadr does every year is it decides for us, or it gives us the opportunity to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, within that maximum that you have decided, allow me to reach the heights of the potential that you have set out for me. Here we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has timed for us our lives. And then the next line, He has given you a covering of dress. Meaning what Amir al-Mu'mineen is talking about, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has clothed each and every one of us. And it's an interesting notion here. The commentators of this sermon of Amir al-Mu'mineen, of Imam Ali, what do they say? They look at this and they focus not on the clothes that we wear. That becomes secondary here. In fact, what they focus on more is the fact that each and every animal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created is created with skin that is in accordance with its needs. So a bird has feathers, I don't know, a polar bear has fur, you've got us with skin as we do, type of fur or feathers or what it may be. And you see each and every one of these has a purpose. There is a reason that a bird has feathers and us as humans do not. There is a reason that a crocodile has thick skin and a cat's skin is soft. There's a reason behind all of this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His infinite design and His infinite wisdom, He has decided for each and every animal exactly how it is to be created, exactly what that animal needs. And you see the beautiful nature of Allah's creation, the beautiful nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's design in this world is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He designed these creatures in a world where climates are constantly changing, where environments are constantly changing, where animals move from one place to another, they migrate from one part of the world to another, and yet still, the build of each and every one of those animals, the body of each and every one of those animals is suited specifically to that animal. Those same animals in those same climates would not survive had their skin been slightly different. They would not survive had their blood been slightly different. They would not survive had their bones been slightly different. But each and every animal, each and every creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's is made and built according to its needs, according to what it requires. This is the first beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation that we are made to understand from. Is a responsibility upon us. In this one line, Amirul Mu'mineen, he reminds us of the brilliance of Allah's creation, and also that with that brilliance and with the beauty of Allah's creation, we have certain responsibilities as well. One is reminded of us here. That's the responsibility of haya, the responsibility of hijab, the responsibility of us to cover ourselves in a way that is appropriate. Now, when we talk about hijab, when we talk about haya, when we talk about modesty and shame, how to dress, how we should, it's important to understand and recognize that the way we dress, it does represent us. The way we dress, it does paint an image of us. And we have to make sure that the image we portray to the world is the best image we can. We have to make sure that the image we give out to the world is the best that we can portray. Look, what the world sees is up to them. What I'm in control of is how I present myself. How they take it, I can't control that. But at the very least, I can show the image that I want to show. Now, when it comes to how we dress, and not just how we dress, but how we carry ourselves, how we behave, our akhlaq, our adab, all of this, when we come to think about this, when we come to ponder upon it, and indeed when we come to act upon it as well, this is where God consciousness comes in. To think to yourself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see me in this moment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me in this moment. And so the best way that I can think of to maintain that God consciousness in every moment is with all of these things, with how you dress, with how you act, with how you walk and talk and behave. Think to yourself, if I was in a very difficult trials and troubles and I had to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as my absolute last hope and say, Ya Allah, I need your help in this moment. Is this how I'd want to be dressed when I speak to Allah, really needing His help? Is this how I'd speak when I speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, truly needing His help? And I'm not your everyday Zuhrayn or Maghribayn. No, I'm talking about when you truly turn to Allah, truly recognizing how much you need Him. In that moment, you take care about how you're dressed. In that moment, you take care about the words you use. In that moment, you take care about how you speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how you present yourself. And so throughout your life, try and make sure that you're that conscious of Allah. As conscious as you are in that time where you need Him the most and you have no other source of help apart from Him. As conscious as you are in that moment, bring that level of consciousness into the rest of your life. Bring that same level of consciousness into everything you do. And that's when you start reaching the stage of what we call taqwa. That's when you become amongst the muttaqeen, the ones who are God conscious. They are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their everyday life. Yesterday, we spoke about seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation around you and using it to remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you see the stars in the night sky, when you see the sun rise and fall every night and day, when you see the trees as they are outside and the plants in their beauty, the animals all around us, we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the signs that He's put out in front of us. God consciousness instantly about what Allah wants of us, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be pleased with from us, and what would displease Him. And when you attain that level of God consciousness, that level of taqwa, you realize the beauty of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. But the nature of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives as well is described. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is described as having done what? Amir al-Mu'mineen says He has scattered for you your livelihood. Meaning what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, He says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. We found you in need and we made you rich. We gave you wealth. He's addressing the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And he says, we made you rich. We gave you wealth. But the reality is the wealth wasn't dropped on the Prophet's doorstep one day. The reality is the Prophet didn't wake up one day with hoards of gold in front of him. No. The Prophet, at first, he went and he worked. And he tried to earn his money. And he did. And then after that, once his money had been earned, he was granted more wealth through his marriage to Sayyidah Khadija salamullahi alayha. And we see, recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made it even for the Prophet, that the Prophet had to go and find his wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for us how much wealth we will receive. He's laid out already how much wealth we will receive. But at the same time, we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's made it so that we have to go and find it as well. We have to work hard in this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us about the value of hard work, and He tells us He will not change our state until we try and change ourselves. So when you're looking for your livelihood, when you're looking for your wealth, when you're looking for your health, when you're looking for any of the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do dua, pray to Allah, rely on Allah, but make sure you carry out your efforts as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He gives us blessings in this life, first and foremost, He gives us the power to go and seek those blessings. He gives us the power to walk and talk. He gives us the power to work hard, to put in effort, to strive and struggle. And then we make ourselves worthy of those blessings, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us the blessings He already decreed, and because of our hard work, He multiplies them further. Recite another loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. But as with everything in Islam, balance is key. We have to focus on balance. Islam is, after all, the moderate path. Islam is the path of the middle. It's the straight path that lies between every other path. Islam is a path of balance. And so when we speak earning that wealth and earning those blessings and bounties, we also have to remind ourselves what the reality is of wealth in this world. What the reality is of the money that we seek in this world. The last point, I'll finish with this inshallah today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed all these bounties in this world for us to go and get, and we should try and earn a living, we should try and make ourselves successful, but at the same time we need to remember the reality of this world. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he tells us, you're on test in this world. You have to render account for it. You will have to answer questions about this world, and then he describes so beautifully what this world is. فَإِنَّ الدُّنْيَا رَنِقٌ مَشْرَبُهَا رَدِغٌ مَشْرَعُهَا يُونِقٌ. Certainly, this world is like a dirty watering place. When the animals, particularly when you go to see in the deserts of Africa, animals will all gather around a small watering hole, which is what you call it. It's a small body of water. Anywhere they find it, they'll come and they'll drink from it. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he's reminding us this world is a dirty watering place. But look, it still has water, right? And he goes on and he says, but it's a muddy source of drinking. Muddy water does no good for you. Muddy water does not sustain you disease. Amir al-Mu'mineen's reminding you, look, don't get bogged down in this world. Take from it what you have to. It's a watering place, so take from it what you have to, but don't get bogged down in this world. And then he gives us the truest description of the reality of this world. He says its appearance is attractive. The world, it will look nice to you, it will look attractive, it will look beautiful. And its inside is destructive. But when you really dive into it, when you lose yourself in this world, you'll realize this world isn't as beautiful as it made it out to seem. This world, it's not giving you everything that it promised. No, in fact, inside, once you get to it, this world is a destructive place. Those who lose themselves in the search of this world, those who lose themselves trying to win in this world, they end up losing everything, both this world and the next, because this world has nothing of value to offer like that. We must complete our responsibilities in this world. We should try and be successful in this world, but we cannot lose ourselves in this world. What does that mean? That means we don't forget the akhirah when we search for this world. That means when I'm looking for bounties and blessings in this world, I have reason and valuable reason behind why I want that success. Do I want money so I can have money? Do I want money just so my bank account is full? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Holy Quran, وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us, woe unto those who sit there and count their money. All they have money for is for the sake of having money, hoarding wealth. That's getting lost in this world. I want to have money so I can do this and this and this with it. I want to have money so I can have a nice house for my family to live in. I want to have money so that I can support the community. I want to have money so I can travel the world and see the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have value in the things that you want from this world. Because the truth is, this world in and of itself does not have value for you. You have to find the value and make yourself a valuable part of this world. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he then goes on to speak about the one who loses themselves in this world. He says, when its despiser begins to like it, so the one who are naturally not inclined towards this world, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and towards the paradises that He has promised, but this world, it pulls us and it draws us in. So we go from despising this world to loving it. He says that when its despiser begins to like it, and he who is not acquainted with it feels satisfied with it, meaning what? Meaning we don't recognize this world for what it is. Naturally, we don't recognize it, but we have to make efforts to understand the reality of this world. What does the world do then? When the despiser begins to like it and he who is not acquainted with it, and it raises and puts down its feet in joy, entraps him in its trap, makes him the target of its arrows and puts round his neck the rope of death, taking him to the narrow grave and fearful abode. We're being told here by Amir al-Mu'mineen that the beauties of this world, however brilliant and beautiful they may seem, there is a trap behind them. If you take your minds back to the old cartoons of Tom and Jerry and things like that, the old mouse traps you'd have, you place a little bit of cheese on the trap, and as soon as that mouse goes for it, what happens to the mouse? Snap. The trap shuts. Amir al-Mu'mineen is telling us this world is like that. It's a trap. It draws you in and then it closes its trap upon you. It draws you in, it pulls you in, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you think you've got that brilliant thing that you were searching for, you realize the whole time it was a trap. The whole time it was pulling you into something far worse than what you thought was a beautiful thing. Amir al-Mu'mineen is reminding us, look, don't fall for the traps and the deception of this world. Don't fall for the difficulties that this world has to offer you, no matter how beautiful it may seem. And this world, it will make us think it is beautiful. It will present in front of us illusions of brilliance, of magnitude, of valor and beauty. But the reality is true beauty is what is waiting for us if and only if we become amongst those who are called the muttaqeen, the ones who have taqwa, the ones who are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remind you of the story of Bibi Hajra, where she runs from mountain to mountain. Every time she goes up one mountain, she goes up the Mount of Safa, and she thinks, oh no, there's water over there on that mountain. She runs. From there, she runs up to Marwa. From there, she looks, she thinks, no, there's water over there. It's these illusions that the world is constantly giving you. It constantly draws you in, leading you into this chase, this rat race, constantly after the same things. But if you find yourself living a life without satisfaction, if you find yourself living a life of difficulty, if you find yourself losing motivation, losing energy, struggling to get through the day and struggling to get through the life, what you need is a break from the deception of this world. What you need to do is to pull yourself away from the trap that this world has set for you. Set your sights much higher than this world. This world, it has beauty within it, apparently. On the face of it, when you go and you see the different parts of the world, the borders of Brazil and Argentina, when you go and you see the beauties of the beaches in Zanzibar, when you go and you see the brilliance of the mountains of Everest, it looks like there's so much beauty. And yet still, we're told again and again, the true beauty, the true reward, it's not this world, it's in the next. We just have to make sure we're searching for it. We just have to make sure we're conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our everyday life. So much so that to the point where we realize everything in this world is simply the creation of Allah that was sent to test me. The creation of Allah that is there to reward me, that is yet to come. And that's what I'm searching for. That's what I'm after. And when we recognize that, when we have that God consciousness in our hearts, then don't take it from me. It's the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. He tells you, you will find peace in this world and blessings in the next. And with that, we raise our hands in dua and we pray to Allah Azza wa Jal, oh Allah, allow us to find peace and satisfaction in this world. Oh Allah, allow us to reach the highest ranks of Jannah. Oh Allah, for all those mu'mineen around the world struggling with ill health, grant them. Allah, for all those mu'mineen who have left this world, raise their ranks in Jannah. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to enter Jannah under his banner. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع الدعاء.